Hello, everyone. Welcome to our midweek Montessori live stream today. We are so happy to have you back with us. And I just feel like our live stream keeps getting better each week with more and more experienced and amazing guests. We've loved all of our guests so far, but I'm very excited to welcome Midori's Prasad today to our stream. And she's going to share with us all of her knowledge about raising independent toddlers. And that's something incredibly valuable to any parent out there because I feel like the toddler years are some of the most difficult, at least for me as a parent. It's a bit exhausting and there's so much change happening all the time. So I love that you're here to share this information with our viewers. I am in a different stage of parenting right now. So I'm parenting middle schoolers, which is a whole nother realm. But I think this is so valuable and powerful. So thank you for joining us today. Welcome.
Thank
We
you.
are
Thank you,
talking.
Erin.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about your Montessori journey and how you got into Montessori? I know it's an interesting one because you started out somewhere completely. Tell us how you got to this place and what you're doing these days in the Montessori education world.
So I was a software engineer, um, and I had no plans to get into, entering the child development. It's totally a new, pathway for my career. But then my daughter happened, and I took a break. And it so happened that I started searching for schools for my daughter, and I had no idea about Montessori at that time when she was around 2 years old. And what I could see was she had this so much interest for learning and so much interest for contributing in the home environment. And anything that I would ask to support or help, she would want to do it all by herself. I think this is why I chose this topic today. Why children want to do things on their own. And as I said, I had no idea. So I was wondering what is happening. And then we have this community where children will come for play date. And there was this one mother who had just put her child in a Montessori environment. And she started talking about how beautiful the environment is and how it changes the personality of the child. So I got very curious and I started searching about it on internet, and I found out this first book from Maria Montessori, The Montessori Method. And when I was reading it, I realized that every example that she has mentioned in the book, that she has given in the book, I could realize that all these experiences, I started understanding it. It revealed to me that whatever I am the product of what I did as a child, how I was treated as a child, and whatever I absorbed, I soaked in as a child is what I am today. So if I get angry when I'm under stress, it's because that's what I have absorbed. If I'm curious to learn something new, because I was like this as a child. So many things, and my gross motor skill or my fine motor skill, it's all because I was playing a lot as a baby, as a toddler. I was pretty much into, cutting papers and picking them up using pincer grasp and all. And I could now relate to why am I like this. So I delved more into it, and that's how my journey started. I took one course in Montessori and then back to back took many other courses, but my major focus was for children between birth to 3 years. And then I joined the toddlers community, and that is where I saw the true potential that the child can reach if we give them a right stimulative environment. So we keep hearing about this fact that early experiences affect our brain development, right? Around 85% of the brain is already developed by the time the child is 3 years old. So how is that development happening, right? Um, what is happening in the brain, and how we can support that brain so that the child can reach their true potential is what I started focusing on, and that's how I realized that working with children is a blessing, because to help them reach their true potential, first we have to discover our own true potential, because it's all about role modeling. How we behave, how we treat these young children, how we work and support with these young children is going to define their personality, will help them unfold themselves, isn't it? So that's how my journey began. And then after working for a few years, my daughter grew up, and I had to also, think about how I can support and balance between family as well as my passion for
Mhm.
children. So I started my own platform, Little Leaps, and from there I give consultations to various toddlers community, and help them set up their toddler environment, observe the teachers, train these teachers, and help them support the children in the right way by evaluating and assessing them and supporting them during the entire academic year. And at the same time, I also support parents with infants and toddlers, um, to help them navigate through various challenges that they come across in their day to day life.
Well, I'm sure that all of those people that you assist are incredibly grateful for your knowledge and for your help. Especially, I'm sure the parents who, I mean, parenting is something that's so interesting because you have this child suddenly and there's not a lot of preparation that goes into it. So you're learning as you go. And just like you learning about Montessori to support your daughter, we really are kind of propelled by that need and that urge to support our children. And so I'm sure that you serve as an amazing resource for them. So that's amazing. I have the website up here in case anybody wants to take a look and engage your services as well.
Sure.
So
What is,
today, oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying what is interesting about parenting is that parenting is very personal to each family and each individual, and customizing based on their environment, their mindset, helping them understand themselves so that they can understand the child. That is a fun thing. I for me, it's really fun. I really enjoy helping people understand themselves so that they can support their child. So, and I believe in the fact that every parent wants the best for their child, just that they may not be very equipped.
Mhm.
So, Little Leaps is all about that, to help them understand how they can best support their children.
And in doing that and teaching them how to best support their children and you're unlocking their potential as parents and as people too. So you're helping in a myriad of ways. So that's great. And today she's going to help all of us by giving us some information on how to raise independent toddlers. So some examples and some techniques that we can implement in our homes or in our classrooms to support fostering independence. And so I'm so excited to hear your ideas and what you have to say about this.
Sure. So before I begin, giving you the structure of how and what we can do, first let's try to understand what are the characteristic of an independent child. What do you think of, or how do you see an independent child? Let's understand that first. The first thing that we will notice in an independent child is that he would be curious to do or learn or explore anything that is new to them, right? They won't be scared, or they won't be inhibited by, oh my god, if I touch, what happens, isn't it? So they will be very excited to learn new skills. That is one thing that we might observe in these children. The second thing that we may observe is these children, because they are confident in themselves and their skills, they like to contribute either in the classroom environment or in household chores as well. Many a times, as I was saying, my daughter used to, like doing things and contributing in everything. And sometimes she would stop me and she would say, I can do it myself, right?
Mhm.
And the same in the environment as well. What I started observing was when the toddler enter the community, they are exploring the place, they are learning the skills, but by the time they are almost about to graduate or transition to casa, children's house, you can see that these children want to help the younger ones who have entered the environment. That's because they have become confident. That's because they have become independent. So, this is another characteristic that you will observe in an independent child. The other thing is that they would want to solve their problems on their own before asking for help. Many a times you would have seen, if a young child has a bottle and they are trying to open the lid, they are continuously trying, they are rotating it this way, that way, all ways possible. And only when they find it difficult is when they will look at you and they'll ask for help. So these are
Mhm.
the children who really enjoy problem solving. And the last and most important thing is that these children are optimistic. Even if they feel that this is not happening, they still know that this is possible.
Right.
Task as they grow old, this is the mentality, this is the psyche of the child, that they will always be optimistic. If this is not happening this way, let me try the other way. If not, that's not happening, let me try another way. So that's how they become. And this brings resilience in them, right? So these are important characteristics that you can see in an independent child. If you have anything to contribute to, Carolyn, you can also share what you have observed in an independent child.
Yeah, I love those characteristics. I think you really, succinctly explained it. So, confidence, curiosity, problem solving skills, and optimism. And when we think about an independent child, but those are great traits in anyone, in an adult, even to embody. So fantastic.
Exactly. Exactly. So, see, becoming independent is a very slow process. It doesn't happen in one day, and that is why it should be starting from the time the child is comes into this world. So, for example, breastfeeding as well. Instead of imposing or forcing the child to, suck your milk, your for the breastfeed, it's better for us to wait and listen to the cues. Observe those cues when the child is hungry and really needs the feed, right? So that's how we are giving them opportunity for independence, rather than, oh, this is now 9 o'clock, this is 11 o'clock, this is 12 o'clock, and this is the time for sleeping, this is the time for feeding. It's We need to have a routine, but routine need not be something that is imposed on the child, but it should help the child understand the order of the day, right? So we need to understand that difference. So now I am coming to what are the requisites that is necessary to help raise independent children. The first and the foremost thing is a prepared environment. When we are talking about prepared environment, this is what I was talking about. First, having a routine, which is very different from a timetable. So, when we are talking about routine, routine means the order of the day, the sequence in which we do an activity. Because children in a very young age, especially below 3, these children have high sensitivity towards order. And everything around them, they become very secured when there is a proper order and which is followed on a daily basis consistently. So having a routine is very important. As I said, it should not be 9 o'clock this and 10 o'clock sleeping time and 12 o'clock bathing time, eating time. Unlike not like that, not the time. But what we want is, okay, morning when the child starts the day, this is what they are going to do. This is what I'm going to do with my baby. This is how I'm going to spend time at this time. And so have an order and let it happen organically rather than forcing it on time basis. That is one thing. The other thing is we need to remove all the unnecessary furnitures and items from the space so that it becomes easily accessible to the child. For example, instead of having high shelf things kept on high shelf, if we keep it on the lower shelves, it becomes easy for the child to access. The same way in an environment, if we have ottoman, we have couch, we have coffee table, and then we have a side table, we have console table, there is so much furniture that it becomes difficult for the child to maneuver through in the space. right?
Mhm.
And that will not allow the freedom to move. When we want children to walk in the environment comfortably, and imagine a child carrying something in their hand, right? If the child is carrying a puzzle, or a child is carrying their own clothes or something of their own, necessity, if there are too many hurdles around, it becomes difficult for the child to walk through one point to the other,
Like
right?
an up
So if
course.
so if we have a, open space for children to walk through, that becomes easy for them to access the space. The same way, as I said, the things that the child needs to access should come on the lower shelves, so that they can easily access without your support. They can go and they can, take it by themselves, whether it is their clothes, their toys, their cutleries, all the things in the kitchen, in the bathroom, in the bedroom, in the hall, everywhere, the thing should be on the lower shelf for the child to access it on their own. The next is, we need not have, multiple toys for the children to play with. I remember this, as I said, until 2, I had no idea of Montessori. So I was very, very excited. And being a new mother, you know how much excitement we have. We'll go buy all kinds of stuff for our children, whether it is soft toy, this toy, those, multiple toys. I had so many toys, and everything was dumped in a big, toy box.
Mhm.
So every day, everything will come out, and then when we will ask my child to put it back, winding up was a challenge, and then everything will be scattered around. And then slowly, eventually, I also started observing that she was only playing with 2 or 3 toys. But because she could not take that out because it will be somewhere inside, for her to dug it and then take it out, she had to take the entire, set of toys out and then play with only those selective toys, right? So I realized that it necessary to limit. So,
Mhm.
a prepared environment should have limited toys that you see, that you observe the child playing with. Not that randomly you put something and the child is not interested, and then it's frustrating for parents as well, because you're like, oh, I have kept these toys, but my child is not interested in it. So we
Mhm.
also have to see the interest of the child. For example, if the child likes puzzle, then puzzle should be on the shelf. But if the child likes, say, Lego, or if the child likes scribbling or sketching, or maybe just scribbling on a slate, have that.
Mhm.
Uh, Not necessarily something that you want, but something that your child wants to play with or wants to work with. That's very important.
Yeah.
And then again, what you will also observe is that after keeping those material, maybe after a few weeks or few months, the child has lost interest in that as well. So keep rotating those toys. You don't need to have the same toy for the entire year or until the child starts throwing it. Just keep observing when the child is losing the interest in that, and then replace it with something new. And having said this, it's not necessary, it's, you don't need to just throw it away. Keep
Mhm.
it and then bring it back later, the same toy. So, say for example, you have something to cut, and then you have pasting activity, or say you have a puzzle, or you have the chip box where you just put the coins inside the box, right? So those kind of activities you have. Now, what you can do is you can have three of those toys put out, and the fourth one you keep it aside, and then after a few months replace it with one of the toys. Then you see what the child is interested in, again replace it with the next one, and keep adding a new one. So that is how you can keep rotating. The same goes with the clothes as well.
Mhm.
We are so much in love with our children that we tend to buy more than it is necessary for our children, and then it's all out in their wardrobe. So if we want our children to independently go and choose their own clothes, we need to have limited options. Otherwise, it's just like we entered a shopping mall thinking of buying just a cosmetic, but when we entered, we saw shoes, we saw bags, we saw clothes, and a lot of other luxury items, and then we got confused, and finally we didn't buy anything at all, right?
Mhm.
Because it was so confusing.
Yeah.
So instead of having that kind of overwhelming experience for the child, if there are limited options for children to choose from, it becomes easy. So even if you have multiple clothes for the child, what you can do is you can have three t-shirts and three pants and three underwear, all kept in small baskets on the lower shelf, so that it is easily you can easily categorize them and let the child choose. Not
Yes.
only that,
You don't overstimulate them, but you still allow them a choice. So it's brilliant. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. And one interesting thing over here is that when the child is doing the laundry, say for example, the child exactly knows where to put what. So if you have different boxes for each, each of your clothes, then the child exactly knows where to go and put those things. Like this basket belongs to my t-shirt, and this basket belongs to my pant, and this basket belongs to my underwear, right? So it becomes easy for the child as well. And because it's limited, it is not overwhelming, because most of the time parents struggle when there is too many stuff. We want our children to do something, we want our children to do independently, but because it's too much for them, for the child, that the child stops it, and then the parent feels like we tried but the child is not ready. That's not true. You have to observe why is it not happening, and accordingly, change your environment, right? So that's what is important. Having child appropriate furnitures is very important. For example, if you want your child to uh, toilet train so that they become independent in toileting, right? You need to have a step stool for them to climb on their own and then turn around and sit. Now, when you are selecting a step stool, you need to also see the width of the footrest,
Mhm.
because if the footrest is small, the child won't be able to turn on their own and sit. So the footrest needs to be wide. And then having the napkin, and then there is another, either the same step stool you can use, or you can use a separate one for the child to go and flush, and then use the same step stool for them to go near the, drag it to the sink and wash their hands. My nephew does it daily, and he just loves it, dragging them, because it's again exerting their maximum effort while pushing the step stool. So this is also one of the activity the children love to, and having an order in doing all these stuff. The step stool is extremely important and pivotal in kitchen as well, because when they want to wash the fruits or vegetables, it's going to be very, very useful for them. Um, when we are doing these things, we need to understand few things. First, as I am consistently saying, you need to observe your child and you need to follow your child. See what the child is interested in, see what motivates the child, see what frustrates the child, see when the child is excited or full of energy to do an activity, and when the child likes taking a break. What kind of activity the child is interested in the more, and what are the activities, if we encourage a little, the child will be, willing to start off. What are the activities the child is now feeling bored of, and why he is feeling bored. So these are the things we need to observe, and we need to follow their lead based on that. The other thing, which is very important for all the parents, is to be prepared for a messy house. Because if you want your child to be independent, you will see a lot of spillage. Sometimes food, sometimes water, sometimes toothpaste in the bathroom or soap. But there is going to be a lot of mess, and you need to take a deep breath, be patient, and let it be, because to win somewhere you have to lose a bit. That's how I say it.
Nice.
uh, this is one of the most important thing, that we are so hardwired to do certain things our way, and most of the time we want things done quickly. So what happens is we do not let the child do things, because even if the child is taking their time, we step in and we start helping even though the child doesn't want our help. So we need to be patient as well. We need to step back and wait and see where the child needs it. And the best gift that we can give the child at this time is the word help. Let them ask for help. So if they want help, they can say, "Mom, I need help," or "Dad, help." I see with my nephew these days, whenever he is doing something and he struggles, he just calls us saying, "Help, help." That's all. And he is just two. So help is a beautiful, instrument. I would say it's a beautiful tool that we can gift the child at this age, for them to let try on their own, and if not, they can come and ask for your help, because most of the time we do not know when our child might need help, right? And we may jump in anticipating that the child is struggling and the child needs the help, but maybe the child is not willing to, right? But when he has this word help, at least we know when to help, right? Now,
Right.
this is for the children who can talk, but the children who are still not verbal, then what do? We just ask the children to raise their hand, or look at us,
Right.
or just call us, right? So this way we understand. So these are the cues that will help us understand when the child need our help, and till that time we can just wait. The another thing that we need to be very mindful of is collaboration. So, yes, the child wants to do a lot of things by themselves, but at the same time, the child doesn't know how to do it in the beginning. So, whenever you are encouraging a child to do a task, say, for example, you want your child to put their used clothes into the laundry. Now, the first time the child doesn't know how to carry it, because the child is still a baby, right? He is still developing the coordination. So you need to I'll show them how to carry. Hold it and close it, hold it close to your body so that it doesn't fall, and you can walk properly. If the child is carrying like this, the child will not be able to see the front, and the chances are that the child may topple forward. So the child needs to hold the clothes close to the body and then walk ahead. Let them walk to the place where the laundry is. Show them how to put it there. The same way, when you want your child to put the clean washed clothes in their wardrobe, show them how to hold it, take them to the place, point it where the t-shirt goes, point where the pants are going to go, point which basket belongs to the underwear. So this way the child knows. Now this process is going to take time. The first time you show the child, not necessarily the child will pick up very quickly. It might take some time. So you have to keep doing this collaboration for a few days and see how much the child has already grasped. And then slowly, you know, come back. Pull yourself back and just stand and watch how much the child can do. Now, this activity can go on and on for a long time. But what you will observe is after a point, the child starts feeling bored and the child resists from doing this task. There are two things. First of all, we must understand that either you put it in routine, and if you are not putting it in your routine and just keeping it as a fun activity for the child, chances are the child will pull out and will not come back to do that activity again, right? So you have to decide and pick on the tasks that you really want your child to inculcate in their habit and make it a part of their routine. So, say for example, the child, for example, just putting the clothes in the laundry or putting the clothes in the wardrobe. If this is what you want the child to have in their routine, then you have to be consistent whether the child likes it or not. Now, having said this, there will be moments when the child is completely resisting, saying, "No, I don't want to, you do it." There are many times because of this collaboration, children become smart and then say, "You do this, I do this." And after a point, they say, "You do it." And then they will completely let go. So, in such situations, again, I would say be patient. Just do it and remind the child that I'm doing this for you, but this is your work, right?
Right. Patience sounds like a recurring theme in all the things that you're saying, and that's something that's hard when you're a parent. But when you put in the work to be patient and to observe and to follow your child instead of putting in the work to do all of the things that you should be modeling, in the long run, it will be better. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of self-control not to jump in and help when we see a child and we know we could put on their shoe much faster, but just train yourself to step back and to observe and to be patient and wait, right?
Yeah, this is why I say it brings the best within us also. It brings the best out from us as well.
Yeah.
And I have learned, to help children reach their potential, we need to reach our true potential as well. And patience is the key to it. So, yeah, when I was saying this, the child might stop. This is also because it has become a mundane activity for the child and the child knows it all. Now, as I said, independent children are curious. They want to see and learn new things every day if possible, right? So, how do you make this the part of their routine? If you want this to be their routine and the child is not ready to do it, how can you do it? By offering a new challenge. So every time you observe the child is resisting something, the first thing, there can be many possibilities, but majority of the time it is because the child finds it mundane now. He has done it so many times, he has acquired the skill, he's confident in it, and he wants something new.
Right.
So, in the same activity, try to bring a little bit of twist so that it again becomes exciting to the child to do that task. So if it is the laundry, now show them how to put it in the washing machine. Show them where to put the powder, uh, the soap, and show them how to turn on the start button. Press the start button to start off the machine. And again, if this becomes a mundane task, then show them how to take out the clothes and let them hang their small clothes. The same can, so the chat, as we graduate the challenges, it it continues to be their favorite activity. But if we think that we will limit this activity to only what we have showed them, then you will struggle a lot. So it's all about upgrading their, see, the children want to upgrade their skills, right? Because every time they are doing something, there are so many firing happening, neurons are firing in their brain, and it's making them, more, their muscles are developing, so they are becoming more stimulated to do a lot more tasks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are curious because the brain is constantly saying, oh, I want more, I want more, because my brain wants to become more developed, more stronger, more strong. So to do that, you need to offer challenges to the child. And when I'm saying challenges, it should be something that is doable, not something that is doable for you, but for the child, right? So, as I said, putting the clothes in the washing machine and then taking it out, or once the child knows where to put the clothes while they are arranging their wardrobe, show them how to fold it. So, as we are gradually increasing the challenge, the child still will continue to do that task as part of their routine because they know there is more to it,
Mm-hmm.
because their entire muscles are used, because their entire effort, their interest is still invested in that,
And they're
right?
excited to see what happens next, right? Like what's the
Yeah,
next?
exactly. There is something new in store every time I feel bored. There is something that is being added up, right? So it's always that curiosity element always is there for children, and they love that curiosity to satisfy that curiosity. Children enjoy that. So yeah, that is one thing. As I have mentioned earlier as well, we need to offer them choices. We just cannot ask the child, you do this, you do that. Now, when we are setting a routine, also, say for example, these are the activities or tasks that we are offering the child to be part of their routine. That also we need to, offer them, asking, would you like to put the clothes in the laundry, or would you want to arrange a wardrobe, right? The same way when the children are going out to the park and they want to wear their footwear, and if they have two pairs of footwear, then ask, would you want to wear the Crocs or would you want to wear the Velcro sandal, right? The same is the case with food. Would you want to eat apple right now or would you like to eat banana? What happens is, it's very interesting, and I'm sure in Montessori you would have also experienced, and as a mother also you would have experienced. I myself have experienced, even though I am Montessori trained, uh, when we are offering, especially with food or especially with choices where in our mind we have already decided that this is what I want my child to do, yet out of habit we are offering the choice. I'll give you an example. Like, recently, with my nephew, what I did was, I had an apple and I had a cucumber, and I know that my nephew loves cucumber, but I wanted him to taste the apple. So what I did was I said, would you like to eat the apple or the cucumber? And obviously he said cucumber, but my hand was, would you like to eat apple or cucumber? So it went on forward towards the child to make him finally, accept apple rather than the cucumber. So what we are doing here is, we are not respecting the child's choice. The same is the case when, the child is coming and asking us, I want to go to the park, right? Or it is the park time, but we have work, so we want to finish our work rather than take the child out to the park. And then we say, would you like to go to the park or would you like to sit at home and play with the toy? Now the child will say, I want to go to the park, but we have to work at home, so we will subtly insist on the child, saying, it's fun to play with your puzzle. See, I've gotten a new puzzle for you. So would you like to play with this? Or you still want to go to the park, right? So when we are manipulating the child, we are not respecting their choices. So we have to be very mindful of the fact that when we are offering the choice, we must respect it. And it is vice versa true as well, right? So say, for example, I offered cucumber and apple, right? And the child said, I want to have cucumber, but after a while he comes and says, no, I want to have apple. Here also we must respect the choice. So if the child is saying no and then starts throwing tantrum, we can say, okay, the apple is here, but you chose to have cucumber today, so we are going to have cucumber because I have cut it for you. We are going to have apple tomorrow. So either ways, respecting the choices will make the child understand. And it's not that we are disrespectful, or it's not that we are hurting the child. When we are consistent, when we are consistently respecting these choices, the child starts understanding, valuing it. And when the child starts valuing it, then we have less power struggle. When the child knows that there is a loophole and I can get inside that loophole and negotiate further, that is when there is a lot of power struggle, and then that is where we get stuck, and then we get frustrated, the child gets frustrated, and then all that tantrum throwing stuff starts happening. So to avoid that, if we respect these choices, if we respect the routine either of the child or of ours, that is when it is possible that we can let a happy, upbringing of the child, the raising of the child. The independence will also come because the child knows that there is no other way, so I'm going to have it. And the next time the child has taken a choice, the child is going to do it by themselves. Say, for example, wearing a footwear, right? You ask the choice. Now the child doesn't need to even come and wait for your choice offering, right? The child exactly knows, I have two footwears, I'm going to choose one, among them. And the child will become independent enough to choose that, come to you, and if the child is independent, can wear the footwear on their own or ask your help to make them wear the footwear, right? But the choice will help them decide on their own. So the decision making starts becoming independently if we start respecting. If we have those loopholes, the child is confused every time what to do. So be mindful when you are offering the choices. This is an urge to all the parents and adults, whether in classroom environment or at home environment. It's a must that we need to be mindful of our actions, how we are offering, how we are valuing the child's not just choice but the child's inner voice, right?
And I think that once we go down that path where we are negotiating and we're not aligning to the choices we initially give,
Yeah.
it's a hard path. It's a slippery slope, and then it's hard to go backwards. So that consistency is very important, and it
Exactly.
makes your life easier in the long run. Too.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, people think, oh, my child started crying, or they are so scared of children crying. See, I have seen many parents coming and asking me, oh, my child is crying. Won't they be emotionally scarred? And I always ask them to observe whether it is a needy cry or is it an emotional cry, because there is a difference. A needy cry is more of demand and observing you, watching you, and throwing tantrums so that they can seek your attention, right? So I have observed that parents give in to these kinds of tantrums because they are scared and they don't know, they are confused between what why my child is crying,
Mhm.
right? So if we are observant enough, and even in such situations, if we hold on to our, decision, if we hold on to our values, if we hold on to whatever consistency we have maintained, that is going to make the child understand that this is what it is, how much ever I may struggle or try, right, hard. And yes, in the beginning it may feel like a lot of effort, lot of struggle, lot of challenge, but eventually it is going to give us a very smooth road. And this has happened with my daughter as well. When she was a toddler, I remember she would come and she would start howling and crying for things that she wanted, and I would just wait. I would say, I'm waiting for you. Whenever you are ready, we can talk, but this is what it is and this is how we are going. Now I don't have to tell her. She is 12 and I don't have to make her understand why we are not doing this or why we are doing certain things against her choice. That's because she herself is capable enough to make that reasoning even before I am going to tell her. Yes, of course, when somebody says no to you or somebody, does against your expectation, it hurts the ego. And
Mhm.
with children, yes, they will throw tantrum. But if you give that kind of consistency from the beginning, the rational mind will develop. The rational mind is going to help the child understand right from wrong or why things are happening, will make them better, analytical thinkers. And again, this is one of the characteristic of an independent child, to think rationally, to think analytically, without somebody coming and giving reasonings for their behavior or their own actions as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, these are the must that as parents we have to be mindful of. Yeah, and having said this, yes, it's challenging. Yes, we make mistakes sometimes. After listening to this conversation, I'm sure many parents will be like, "Oh my God!" But I do this all the time. I just give in to. I submit to my child's cry and all that. It's all right. It's all right to do wrong. It's all right to make mistake, but when you know that this is not going to work, try harder to get better. Because when we are talking about consistency, nothing is absolute. We cannot be 100%. Me as a Montessori parent and Montessori educator, I cannot be 100% because the home environment is very different from school environment. What I can do to 12 or 13 toddlers in a school environment, I cannot do that to my single child, right? So I always urge parents to not be too hard on themselves, but try their best to be consistent. And being 70-80% also there is a great work. Anything below that, I would say, yeah, you need to work harder. But if you are 70% also consistent, then you're doing a great job, because it's not that easy, even as an
Yeah.
adult, it's easy. So be
Parenting is a
kind.
hard job. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. yourself grace, parents. If you're not doing this, you can still implement it. It's still
Yeah,
possible, and do your best. But yeah, grace is
yeah,
important for sure.
yeah, yeah. So these are the things that I always say. And when we are talking about negotiations and saying no to the child, one of the most important things we must understand is that we must say no, but not bluntly. We need to be kind. When we are firm, it's not being strict, it's not being rude, it's being firm. I have taken a stand and I am going to abide by it, whether you like it or not. But I'm not going to be rude with you. I'm not doing it because I have bad intentions. I'm not doing it because I don't like you or I hate you. I'm doing it because I love you. So this intention should come out when we are, communicating with our children, especially when things where children are throwing tantrums or children do not like it when we are saying that. We need to be very kind and firm. And this is where again there are a lot of confusions with parents. Sometimes they become too kind, sometimes they become too firm. Either ways it is detrimental for the child's development, because when you're extremely kind, the child takes the advantage and then they slip away. And when you are too firm, the child becomes very submissive and reserved, and has so many collected emotions that they have not let out. So that also is very harmful and dangerous. So having that balance between firm and kind is very important and very mindful. The other thing is that every time you are allowing the child to do a task, observe it, acknowledge it, appreciate it. Many times, I'm sure, Caroline, you must have observed this. Nowadays, this term "good job" has become very favorite among parents, right? Wow, good job, great work, wonderful, lovely. I'm so proud of you, isn't it? So the child doesn't know why are they proud of. The child doesn't know what good work they are talking about, but what the child knows is that they have done something, right? And when we are using these terms like "I'm proud of you," "good work," "great job," it feel for the child, they begin to believe that external validation is a must for the task that I'm doing. But that's not what will motivate the child further. That will demotivate the child further, because, say for example, whatever the child today, the child draws a line and you say good job because this is the first time the child is using a crayon. But the same child, when he turns maybe 6 years or 8 years and still drawing a line, you may not acknowledge it, or you may not say good job, and the child is wondering why. It's the same thing my mother used to like, but now she is not. So the external validation will actually demotivate the child, and either the child will stop trying further, or the child will, feel very, very demotivated and depressed. So instead of that, if we are describing what the child has done, so that the child sees that my work is being observed, valued, and appreciated. Like if the child has just scribbled a line, "Oh, I see you have used a green crayon to scribble this line. This looks so wonderful. I see it is slanting towards the right. That's beautiful, and it's on a white paper. That's it. I love what you have done. That's it." And same way, if the child has carried the clothes by themselves to put it in the laundry, "Oh, I see that you carried these four clothes of yours, four t-shirts on your own and put it in the laundry. That's a good work." If we start acknowledging child's effort, child's work, the child feels motivated to do further. But if we just say, "See, um, we are busy is why we use good work. We do not have time to observe the child's effort and work is why we say good job, great work, and I'm proud of you," without noticing what the child is doing. So we have to be very, very, observant of our own actions. It may sound like we are appreciating the child, but actually we are not observing the child's effort. So let's always try to observe these and appreciate those small efforts that the child is making, because that is what will encourage the child to take further challenges, and that's what will make them problem solvers in the future.
That's great advice. I love it. And self-motivation and be proud of their own work and motivated by intrinsic goals. So fantastic. Yeah. Well, I feel
Yeah.
like you've given us a wealth of information. I appreciate your time so much. I'm going to post this everywhere that we haven't been live streaming it, and I'll post the link to Little Leaps too. And I'm sure that if people have questions or comments or want more information, you can post your comment on any of the video streams on any of the social media platforms, and I can get those answered for you. We'll keep an eye on them and make sure we can communicate with you if you have any thoughts or questions about all of the information that's been presented today. Thank you so much, Madari, for joining us. We really appreciate it. And I hope that we can work together again. I'm looking forward to a good collaborative relationship with you and sharing your knowledge with more Montessorians and more of our parents and teacher trainees and faculty and everyone. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Caroline. It's lovely. And yeah, I think Caroline.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I had a great time discussing. I just loved sharing all the knowledge that I have with you. Yeah, it's wonderful, and I look forward to collaborating with you in future too.
Okay, perfect. Well, enjoy your evening. It's late where you are, so I'll let you go and get on with your evening.
Thank
But
you.
we'll be in touch, and thank you so much. And we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you. Have a good day, and bye bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.